Yeah,
Hi. How are you?
I am pretty good.
Excellent. Good to hear.
I invited several people to this meeting.
I did. Good.
Yeah, and I think some of them will be coming. Come on, computer. I invited some folks from Melrose.
Awesome.
I invited Elizabeth from the HRC to see if
Great.
their church might be interested. Oh, here she is right now. I guess that's it. I invited about 4 people. Hey, Elizabeth.
Hey, how are you?
Pretty good. Pretty good. I'm trying to find the post key. Okay, I found it.
I can stay for about a half hour. I've got a board meeting tonight, and I can be a little bit late to that, but I am curious about this and how we might be able to help out. So I didn't want to miss it today.
Great.
Yeah. Let's see. So, okay. Cool. I'm glad that you could be here. I was just telling Eileen that I also invited some folks from Melrose. We're kind of trying to focus on collaborating across different towns and organizations. So there may also be someone or more than someone's from Melrose joining us, but I figure we can start getting started, and if they come, they will find us.
Great.
Let's see. It is 6:32 p.m. Welcome to the Indigenous Peoples Day Planning Subcommittee of the WHRC. We have Benny Wheat, we have Eileen Rooney, we have Elizabeth, and how do you say your last name?
Asenza.
Senza.
Asenza, yep.
And we can get started. The closed captioning is on. Feel free to use it if you would like. And this meeting is being recorded. Okay. So in terms of collaborating with neighboring towns, I don't know, Eileen, did you hear back from any of your various folks?
I did. I actually spoke with, who did I speak with? I spoke with Sudeshna this morning from Reading. And she's just starting to do some planning. They are working directly with their library, similar to the way that we work with our library. And so, hello.
Hi, Terry.
Sorry to be late.
Oh, no, you're fine. We just started 1 minute ago.
Okay.
Terry is one of the people from Melrose that I invited.
Oh, perfect. Hi, Terry.
Eileen and Elizabeth are also on the Wakefield Human Rights Commission.
Okay. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So Reading doesn't have a big plan, but they'd love to sort of partner with us and then any other town in the area so that we're sort of using, one resource for multiple towns versus us having four different towns. I know that the Reading Library is planning on doing sort of a bead making session in November. We were in the car, so I didn't write down the date. I want to say it was like the 5th or something like that. But that's sort of the plan there. She really wanted to hear what we were sort of hoping to do. And I previewed we'd like to work together. We're not 100% sure what we're going to do yet, but we'd love to work together. And she was thrilled to do that and thinks that maybe even in the future, we could be doing that too, when it comes to like Juneteenth or Pride Month or whatever it happens to be. So Reading is on board, which is great.
Cool. We both Terry and I attended this community forum yesterday for cities and towns that are planning Indigenous Peoples' Day events that was hosted by the Italian Americans for Indigenous Peoples' Day, and with support also from Matoi Monroe, who is an Indigenous woman who, I don't know, I think of her as being like the person in charge of the mass Indigenous legislative agenda. But she does like everything, like every forum that I go to and every march and everything, Matoi is there. So she was also at this forum yesterday, giving some like ideas and support and pointers and stuff. So that was helpful. And she shared with us, Terry, I don't know if you had already known about this, that so at Melrose, I reached out to the folks who planned the Melrose event last year, or some of the folks who planned the Melrose events last year. I reached out to Jim Bennett and Betsy
Garrett. Garrett. Yep.
Yeah. And I was like, hey, are you planning an event this year? We're looking to collaborate more so this year than we have in past years. And they emailed me back and they were like, so it's a little confusing what's going on in Melrose right now, because they had planned the event last year, but then this year the mayor's office has started planning some kind of event and didn't reach out to them at all. And so there was some confusion about that. And then in the forum yesterday, Matoi let us know that the mayor's office in Melrose is planning a
Multicultural event.
Multicultural
festival, I think is what she said.
And they have been like trying to be very clear, it sounds like, with the mayor's office, that like on Indigenous Peoples' Day, like let's celebrate Indigenous peoples. And they're like not having it. So that event is problematic, and Matoi encouraged us like not to partner with them on that. And so Terry, I don't know if you have, I know that your group is meeting now in a few minutes to start your planning process also for Indigenous Peoples' Day, but I don't know if you have thoughts or anything that you want to share with us, or if you want to hear kind of what our brainstorm has been so far.
All of the above sounds great. I can just say that last year was the first year that we did something, and we actually got a small grant from the UCC, so for our anti-racism team. So it wasn't specifically for IPD, but you know, in that grant, we talked about wanting to bring the community together to learn about BIPOC people, and yeah, so it was very open-ended about what we would do with the funding, but we do have a little bit of funding. So last year we did a screening of 2 movies that were, I believe both were done in Maine and set in Maine. Dear Georgina and Dawnland. So they were, I don't know if you're familiar with those films, but it was well attended. We also were part on Zoom of the filmmakers were there, and they also had some of the Indigenous people from Maine speaking about the movie and about the Truth and Reconciliation Committee and, you know, the work that was being done up in Maine. So we had hoped to have you know, Q&A and opportunity to ask them questions, and then also to have a chance for discussion afterwards, but it went so late that we just kind of ended it after 2.5 hours. So I think it was good in a lot of ways, but we would probably want to try to have more time if we did something like that, to have more engagement with the folks who came out to the event. So I know in the past we, and I should have sent that to you last night, Benny, I'm sorry, I didn't think of it. But just some of our ideas from last year that we didn't end up doing. And yeah, so I think that's that's about it. And we've done no talking at all this year. It just feels like it came up so quickly. So I was glad to see that others are still in the planning stages.
Yeah. You also had, I don't know if this was through your group that planned it or if it was separate, but Jim Bennett and Farius Gray did like a history talk, which was fantastic.
Yeah, I was in touch with Betsy a lot last year in the planning, and then in the end, she and Jim planned that whole thing, and they talked about hosting it at our church, which we were open to, but I think they found a space eventually.
I think it was virtual.
Oh, was it?
I
Okay.
went to it, unless they did it twice, but the one I went to was virtual.
Virtual, okay. Yeah, so in the end, we didn't collaborate with them. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. We just did, for the past 2 years, we've done book readings,
Nice.
which is fine, but like, just like us reading books, like we didn't have it wasn't like an event with speakers or stuff like that. It was just like a very kind of DIY situation, which is fine. You know, it's nice to get those voices out into the community, but we're looking forward, I think, to doing something a little more interactive, more like substantive.
Can I just ask, which books did you do, and was it virtual or did you have a gathering?
It was virtual both times. The year before last, it was 3 children's books, like picture books. We did Bow Wow Pow Wow, we did Fry Bread, and we did a book whose illustrations I can picture and whose title I can't remember, about Indigenous people who have also fought, like warriors who have also fought in like as veterans in the US.
Okay.
And then last year we did a kind of more of a young adult book, or adult book, which is a collection of essays and poems and artwork and stuff. So we read a selection from that, like different authors, you know, different pieces, and we like made a compilation.
Nice. And were there children that attended the?
Well, it was okay. So it was not a virtual event so much as a like a recording that people could watch.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean? It wasn't like a live event. It was what's the word? Like asynchronous or whatever. People could watch it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it was like very low bar. Not low bar, but like.
I loved what they were saying last night, that it's okay to be small and
Was that their message? Like, it's okay to not do a gigantic event that associated do some.
They had a couple of messages actually. So this community forum was super helpful. I feel like some of the takeaways that I had were, 1, collaborate with other towns. That was like a big, because they say both because like it you know, benefits everybody, and also because, you know, there are few enough Indigenous like artisans and performers and speakers that to have everybody trying to book themselves on like one weekend is really challenging. So if everyone's competing for these same couple of days, whereas if you have like multiple towns who are all collaborating, it can like ease that bottleneck. So the collaborating, they said, was a great idea. They talked about, this is relevant for us, maybe less so for Melrose, but probably also relevant for some of the other towns that we've been trying to contact, is if your town has not yet passed Indigenous Peoples Day as like an officially recognized holiday, instead of Columbus Day, then they advise you to use this as like an educational tool. So it's like both a celebration of Indigenous Peoples Day and also like a moment to be like, hey, perhaps we should officially recognize Indigenous Peoples Day in our town. And use that as like a building block in the process towards someday achieving that. So they mentioned that. And they mentioned this idea of like, you don't have to put on a giant festival or like do all kinds of fancy things. Like you can just have a very modest event, and that's great. So it was helpful. And they had a bunch of helpful ideas for, because this is where I always feel stuck, is like, I I don't like know anyone that I can contact, like performers, speakers, right? I would be basically like cold calling random Indigenous people and being like, would you come to my town? Which is, I'm sure, part of the deal. Like we can do that. But they had a bunch of ideas for places that we could look to see speakers who have, or whoever, people who have participated in events like this in the past, or they said they were gonna, Matoi said she was gonna send out an email with like a list of people that she would recommend and things like that. So hopefully there'll be some good resources. The thing that we had talked about last time that we met was possibly like the very beginning inklings of maybe a panel discussion or something. Because Eileen, you are connected with somebody who does Indigenous land rights, like legal.
Yeah, on the
know.
legal side, Nicole Friedrichs at Suffolk. And I just pulled up her email. The timing around when we were going to meet didn't work. And so let me see if I can get to her in the next week or so. But if you look her up online, you can find her on YouTube, but you can also find her on Suffolk. And it just, she's done panel discussions about land rights and what that looks like and what's happened over the past, 100 years. And so that might be kind of interesting. I would also guess, like everyone else, she's probably a hot commodity right now. And so I have no idea how much she would cost for a speaker. I have no idea, other than we are connected on LinkedIn and we have spoken once on the phone, which is better than just a message, right? That's one step closer, I guess. But she was lovely when we spoke, and sort of the thought of her doing a speaker series somewhere would be kind of cool. But
Yeah.
I don't, who else would be on that panel, right? Like that's.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it would be essential to have Indigenous, she's not Indigenous, is she?
No.
No, to have Indigenous voices on that panel.
Right.
As part of that, lending an Indigenous perspective. Yeah, so I think that would be the key, would be reaching out, looking at some of these resources that were made available in the community forum, which I can share with you all who weren't there. And starting to contact people and see like who might be interested. I had another idea. This is unrelated to that, but I want to throw it out there before it leaves my brain, which is one of the like quick comments that Matoi made about, I think Brookline was like, yeah, Brookline, which actually has an excellent bookstore, did like some author talks. And I was like, I wonder if we could contact Whitelum and see if they'd be interested in hosting an author talk.
That would be awesome. And
considering
it in Reading.
Yeah, exactly. They're in Reading. I think they're like a very popular, well-respected. This is Terry. Do you know Whitelum Books?
No.
It's a locally owned bookstore in Reading, in the middle of like downtown, the like little Reading Center area. And that's where we bought, when we did the children's book reading 2 years ago, we bought the books from Whitelum Books, and then we donated them to the local elementary schools. And they had like they had a Indigenous, like a small selection in their, what do you call it, children's section of like books authored and illustrated by Indigenous authors and illustrators. So it seems like something that's like on their radar. They like have tried to curate a small collection of this stuff. So it could be an interesting thing to collaborate with them as well.
Yeah, and I liked how they were saying last night, collaborate with the libraries, because they love doing either book talks or, even having displays at the library that of Indigenous authors. And I just don't know what the Melrose Library situation is, because I think they're moving and closing down for a big renovation. But have you worked with the Wakefield Library in the past?
Almost every event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, they're definitely valuable partners.
Mm-hmm.
I reached out to them. I emailed Catherine yesterday during the forum. I was emailing her to say like, hey, what are you thinking about for Indigenous Peoples' Day? And because the Melrose Library has an event already planned, it's a co-sponsored with the Tewksbury Library.
Right. Sent that last night.
Yeah, which is about, I can't remember. I already have forgotten what the title of it is. But Catherine said that she, I think, has a staff meeting or something today, and she's going to bring up Indigenous Peoples' Day and see where they're at, and then get back to me.
Penny, I think it'd be great if we contacted White Lamb to do like an Indigenous author to like come in and do a signing or something like that. Maybe as part of the HRC, we could purchase like one of those books or like 3 of those books for each library in Reading, Wakefield, Melrose, Stoneham even, and we could donate them on behalf of us.
Yeah.
So that we're like partnering with the libraries, but also funding White Lamb too.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to reach out to White Lamb and see if they have any interest in this, or if they, I mean, who knows, they may already be, maybe they have ideas about an Indigenous Peoples' Day event already, who knows?
I can just say, and Benny, I can email you some of the ideas that we had from last year that I'm sure we'll talk about tonight. And then also I was taking notes and sent that to our group too. So from the meeting last night, but our former minister had an elementary school friend from Maine who is a well-known basket weaver artist. And so Beth had asked this woman, Teresa Secord, if she had ideas or people that she could recommend that were local. And so she gave us a couple of textile artists and Indigenous. One was a flute player, another was a women's a cappella group. So I don't know how you would feel about like an artist kind of thing, but I know Melrose has there's a small art group on Main Street in Melrose. So I haven't reached out to anyone, but I thought that might be something to collaborate with groups.
Yeah,
Like
an artist group, because there's also, Wakefield has the Albion Cultural Center, what's it called? Albion Cultural Exchange, which is a gallery.
Oh, okay.
And then there's also, maybe this is the one, what's the one that you're talking about in Melrose? What are they called?
I can't think of what they're called, but actually my neighbor down the street is very involved with it. So I just, like you said, I don't know how booked these different artists are going to be, but I thought that might be different from what others are doing and might be a good draw for multiple communities. If we can get it. So.
Yeah, I love it. That's a nice idea, collaborating with like some sort of arts nonprofits or arts organizations.
Yeah, and so then we have a pretty big hall for our for events, so I'm sure we could host something. We also have good equipment for virtual things, and so I don't know what folks are going to have the appetite to do this year, but I could see doing like another movie screening or something like that. So, and do you
Follow Your Art Community Studios?
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Sorry, you were in the middle of a sentence and I interrupted you.
That's okay. I was just asking, do you have space at the Human Rights Commission for hosting an event, or?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. We probably would have to reserve it pretty soon, but there's spaces in Wakefield that are reservable. Like there's an auditorium, which is like pretty huge. There's a theater also at the high school, which depending on the various performance schedules over there, sometimes you can reserve. There's I feel like those are the two main places that we do events.
Okay.
There's other like spaces in town, not like public, not part of the town of Wakefield, but other organizations have space and stuff.
Right. Okay.
Jenny, have we done anything inside the library?
That's a great point. Yeah, the library has a sort of a community room or whatever. Have we have in years past, it's been a couple of years, but we have hosted events at the library before.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I think there's a variety of options for spaces. And even if we did, yeah, depending on which of these avenues end up kind of solidifying, like if it's an arts thing, like maybe we could do it in one of those buildings, like in, I don't know if Follow Your Art has a physical space, but the Albion Cultural Exchange has like a building with a space.
Yeah, they do. It's just very small. It's like a house kind of thing that they've converted into, basically like 3 very small galleries. But
yeah, I feel like a space, I'm not too worried about space. I think we would, the tricky thing is you would have to first know the date in order to get the space reserved. And so it's like a little bit of a chicken and the egg thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know that your meeting starts at 7, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to jump off, but
I appreciate you joining us. Let us know what
for
the
letting me.
thoughts are from your group, what the appetite is.
Sure.
And Terry, I said, pardon me, sorry. You said you had done things that your church was involved in some of this. Are you part of the UCC church in Melrose?
Yes.
I thought maybe since the grant. Okay. Just wanted to be able to like.
Yeah. So it's Melrose Highlands Congregational Church on Franklin Street. Yeah.
Thanks.
Oh, I know that one.
The other piece, our church has done a couple of mission trips out to Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota, and both our youth group and then adults. And so we have a good relationship with the nonprofit that was there. So, and actually my husband works there in the summer. So, I was asking him, because they have great speakers that come and talk with the volunteers. And so that was another idea, but he's not sure about that. And it would be nice to have local Indigenous people, I think, and support them, you know, local folks. But yeah, those were some of the ideas we had, but I can keep in touch. I'll probably email you right after the meeting.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad that we ran into each other.
Yeah. All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
So I was thinking, I don't know if this is just a rabbit hole, but I was thinking about this list of, I have a list of all the Indigenous Peoples' Day events that took place in Massachusetts last year. Well, I'm sure it's not all of them, but it's a bunch of them, like really a lot. And it has like the names of all the like speakers, performers, groups, whatever. It's like, is it too nutso to kind of like look through this list and try to see if there are organizations or speakers who might be interested in like a land rights panel or something like that, land rights or in, I don't know how you would phrase it, but something that would like complement
Nicole.
Nicole, yeah.
I don't think it's crazy at all. I think it's a
I
great
think that
idea.
makes sense. That's a great way to like begin to get a list of people.
Yeah. And then
Or-
Matoi said that she was gonna send a list of stuff too. So I'm gonna share this. I guess I'll email it along with the notes. But what I'm thinking is maybe we can just like split it in half, Eileen. And I'm not thinking like contact every single person that's on this thing, but just like scan through it, see if there's anything that looks promising.
Yeah.
And then like if there's people that seem promising, we could contact them just to
That
get a read,
sounds
like,
great.
hey, would you be interested in doing this? It doesn't have to be on Indigenous Peoples Day, sometime around that time.
Right.
You know, we could work with your schedule, maybe, you know.
Yeah, I love it. Let's do it.
The other question obviously also is like money. How do we deal with that? But do you think it would be weird to, so if we do have Nicole with some Indigenous folks also on this panel, would it be weird to like ask Nicole to sort of either lower or forfeit her speaking fee, like so that we could pay that money to the Indigenous folks who are participating? Like say we only have so much money, you know?
Doesn't hurt to ask. I also have no idea what her fee is. She may say like, this is for the HRC, I'll do it for nothing, right? I mean, but yeah, it doesn't hurt to ask. I'll email her right now to see if I can connect with her.
Yeah,
Mhm.
connect with her and just sort of like talk through various things or whatever. Okay, so this document is 11 pages long. What if I do the first 6 pages and you do the last 5 pages?
Sounds good.
Okay, let me write that down. I also forget immediately what the idea was.
Are you gonna email White Lamb too?
Yeah, I'll email White Lamb and I can also email Albion Cultural Exchange and just like, you know, just like put the feelers out, be like, are you interested? Co-hosting event? Do you have any thoughts? Do you have any money?
I mean, I can't say it enough. When we met with Steve Mayo, he was like, don't worry about money. Just whatever you guys need, we'll do it. So, but I know we worry about money. I get it.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Mm,
I like it.
okay, cool. Oh, did you hear back? Did you contact someone in Stoneham?
I did, and they never replied.
Okay. That's too bad.
Yeah. What's interesting too is like, I had to kind of dig for that email.
Mhm. Was it for the Stoneham HRC group?
Yeah.
Doesn't Jeremy like know someone over there?
Oh, yeah.
Like a friend of his helped start the Stoneham HRC or something like that.
Yeah, that was how the Stoneham person came and visited our meeting.
Yeah.
All right, let me go find the email that I sent and I'll forward it to Jeremy and see if he can connect me with whoever that was.
Jeremy is theoretically on this subcommittee, so you could probably just ask him to contact them.
Oh, right. That's right. I will do that.
Cool. Yeah, and Elizabeth, if you want to, you know, run it by your social justice committee and see if they have any thoughts about wanting to collaborate or anything like that.
So I can say they might be interested if we were looking for individuals to participate in something. They probably don't have any capacity to like organize a thing. We definitely don't have any financial resources because we're operating on a deficit budget this year.
That's sad.
Yeah. But our social action committee no longer meets monthly. They're pretty like activity focused at this point. So there isn't a core group to reach out to say like, hey, do you want to be involved in planning and organizing? But there are people I could reach out to if there was something in place to say like, hey, are you interested in helping? So
Yeah.
I do think like I am interested in us participating in this, and we probably have people who would be interested in volunteering and being there in person and
Yeah.
day
Helping
of, or
pull
maybe
it
even
off.
some like organizational pieces, but they would probably need like direct, please do this instructions.
Sure.
Cool.
We'll
like
take,
it.
please do this, people. Why not?
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I can put it out to them in our weekly email today, not today, Thursday, and ask if there's anyone who is interested.
Cool. Excellent.
And I have to head out to
Yeah.
another meeting that I'm supposed to be at right now. So good luck with the rest of your meeting. If you can keep me in the loop, I'll make sure to get things out too. With the
Yeah.
like subcommittee email, I'll make sure to get things out to the congregation and to steer any volunteers toward you.
That sounds
Awesome.
great.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay.
All right. This feels like something.
Yeah. Oh, and I did look up, remember I was telling you last time that I went to a talk by this guy. He was so personable and invited people to contact him. I could not find his contact information, but I did figure out who it was in the talk that I went to. Turns out he's like the chief of the Delaware Lenape people. I was like, whoa,
Oh,
hey, cool.
go right to the top. Why not?
Yeah. He's not, I don't think he's on their like tribal council. He's not like an administrative chief, but it said the like historical or the cultural chief or something like that. I don't know the
Wow.
like organizational structure of the Lenape people, so I have no idea. But I was like, okie dokie, this might not be an attainable ask.
Yeah, maybe not. Good thought, though. Oh, great. All right. Well, this feels like we're at least moving forward a little bit, so that's nice.
Yeah, I'm interested, I wonder if it would be worth reaching out to, so in Massachusetts, I believe it's the Nipmuc people are, to my knowledge, the only people in Massachusetts who have a reservation that has never been ceded. Like they still live on their traditional lands that have never been taken by settlers. And I'm thinking about that in terms of this question about like talking about land rights and just like what it means to have
Right.
this land that you have this like heritage that you're connected to, and everything.
Mm-hmm. I just pulled up their website.
I learned about it. There's like a pretty active historian and kind of like cultural I don't know what we call it, like person who's really involved in like keeping cultural practices alive. His name is Larry Spotted Crow Man. And I've been to a couple of events that he spoke at. I think that he's like very highly sought after. He's like very popular, but I would be interested perhaps in reaching out to, he is also one of the founding members, I think, of the Ocotillo Cultural Center that I was telling you about last time.
Oh, right.
About maybe reaching out to Ocotillo or reaching out to him in particular and just saying like, we're thinking about doing an event that's like centered around this idea of land. Like, do you know anyone who might be interested in speaking?
Yeah. Is he on their website, you think?
Great question. I'm sure that the Ocotillo Center has people, has a contact like address. And then I'm also looking at my personal notes, like from this talk that he did, to see if I can find.
Oh, what is his name?
Larry Spotted Crow Man.
Oh, okay, yep, okay.
Oh yeah, co-director and founder of Ocotillo Cultural Center.
Yeah, he's right on their website.
Okay, I don't have his I went to a great talk that he did, and I was thinking maybe I would have his contact info, but I do not. But I'm thinking maybe I'll reach out to Ocotillo and just say, like, if you have any
Right.
ideas or know of anybody who might be interested.
They've got some great videos and like resources and. It's like a
Yeah,
resource on IPD too.
I love that place. Okay, so
Actually, there's a whole list of children's books on their website.
oh, that's cool.
That is cool. So we could totally, I mean, whatever we decide, right? But if we end up at Whiteland,
Yep.
cool.
Okay, so you're gonna connect with Nicole and you're gonna look at this list of events from last year to see if there's any possible leads that we
Yep.
could reach out to. I'm gonna contact Whitelum and Albion Cultural Exchange and Ocotillo. And let's see what we can shake out.
Cool.
What do you want to do for the next meeting?
So the next 2 weeks for me are bonkers at work.
Mhm.
I wonder if I see what I can get as far as like information in the next week. And then like I asked Sherry if she could host next week's meeting.
Mhm.
Because I'm worried that I won't be able to. So, and then Indigenous Peoples Day is October 10th.
Yeah, which is less than a month away.
It's so close. But I could probably do like Saturday the 24th. Does that work for you?
Yeah, totally. What time?
Let's shoot. Are you okay with the morning?
I have a standing
Oh, that's right. I always forgot about that.
from
Sorry.
10 to 12. So if it was before 10 or after 12.
You know what? I want to sleep in. Let's do it at like 12:30 or something like that. Or what?
I support you.
Okay, good.
Yeah, 12:30 is fine with me.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so I can post that. Cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And I'll send the notes out and let's see what happens.
Cool. Okay. Have a fantastic evening.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Eileen.
See you soon. Bye.